Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
Hello and welcome to Living on the Edge. In this week's program, an impressionistic view of the destruction that is overtaking our hill stations. How this tribal community is coping with the aches and pains of a mainstream existence, and a long-awaited profile of this seemingly cool and calculating creature. Come summer, and those of us who can take to the hills to beat the heat. But more often than not, tourists find that the reasons for going to a hill station don't exist anymore. Instead of clean, fresh air and peace and quiet, all they get is overwhelming pollution of all sorts, degraded hill slopes, and unimaginable congestion. Nikhil Alva and Nandini Rajwade report on a dream gone sour.
For over 50 years, An Singh, like his father before him, has earned his living rowing tourists around the Naini Lake. In pre-independence India, it was the British Sahibs whose patronage An Singh depended on. Today, it is the newer rich from the cities and the plains that An Singh must serve to make his living. And each summer, they arrive in Nainital by the thousands.
उस टाइम हम लोग 1 रुपये में घुमाते थे पूरा एक करा. अब आजकल 50 भी ले रहे हैं, 60 भी ले रहे हैं, जैसा पड़ा चूरी धंधा ठहरा. कमाई तो खूब होती है साहब, ऐसा है. अब वो पैसे में ताकत थी 1 रुपया भी, जो रुपया था वही आजकल है नहीं.
Ironically, while An Singh prospers from the tourist boom that Nainital has experienced this past decade, it is the lake with which An Singh shares an enduring relationship that is dying. And yet, the state of this once pristine lake, with its crystal clear water and magnificent marsh-air fish, is only symbolic of a deep malice that has set not only into Nainital, but all our popular hill stations like Manali, Mussoorie and Simla.
झील का संकट अलग से कुछ नहीं है. झील का संकट नैनीताल के पूरे संकटों का एक हिस्सा है, क्योंकि अगर हम कैचमेंट में कुछ भी अच्छा करते हैं तो झील की केयर होती है, और कैचमेंट में अगर हम कुछ भी गड़बड़ करते हैं, पेड़ों के कटने से लेके, कंस्ट्रक्शन से लेके, सड़कों को और सिविल लाइंस को गलत तरीके से बनाने से लेके, और जो इलीगल कंस्ट्रक्शन है, उस सब में असर झील का पड़ता है.
With only fragmented memories of my last visit to Nainital a decade ago, my belief in the magic of hill stations was reinforced by the drive up to Nainital. Fresh air, empty stretches of road, and the lure of a picturesque retreat. But as we approached the hills that surround Nainital and saw the lake sparkling at a distance, I felt my mental images crumble. The essence of the hill station was missing, like the sky in an unfinished landscape painting.
Automobiles were rare only 2 decades ago. Today, the summer months witness densities comparable with that of Delhi.
And where the machines left, humans took over. Even the lake didn't seem as beautiful as distance would have had one believe. What was once a source of clean drinking water for Nainital, the lake is today a cesspool of waste generated in the catchment and a recipient of sewage from drains running down the hills. I quickly bought mineral water from a shop owner who took delight in fueling my worries about the town's drinking water and promised me as many crates of bottled water as I could possibly buy. What more could he want?
पहले ऐसा नहीं होता था. अब तो समय बदल गया है ना. समय बदल क्या गया, इंसान बदल गया. समय तो वही है, वही सूरज है, वही आसमान है.
At a tea stall, I met a local boy. Born and brought up in Nainital and a Hindi movie buff, he was the first in many people I spoke with who was proud of the hill station's heritage. Any spot untouched by man, I asked him. A church, he told me. No one bothers to go there. An old caretaker and a cemetery are its only companions.
This run-down cemetery next to the church holds the mortal remains of entire families that were wiped out in the catastrophic landslide of 1880. An event that highlighted the dangers of unchecked construction on fragile mountain slopes. In order to prevent such disasters from recurring, the British attempted to regulate building activity on the mountain slopes around Nainital. In addition, 48 stormwater drains were built to channel rainwater down to the lake to prevent landslips from occurring during heavy rainfall. Yet, today, the lessons of the past seem to have been forgotten. Huge multi-storied buildings have come up on the very slopes that had once come crashing down. Over the years, large-scale construction activity, with scant regard for building laws or the fragility of the mountain slopes, have succeeded in converting this once beautiful hill station into a vast concrete eyesore that is bursting at its seams. The drains meant to carry rainwater now serve as a conduit into the lake for thousands of tons of silt from the heavily deforested mountain slopes and for rubble from construction activity that is continuing despite of a government ban on fresh buildings. And, with real estate prices escalating, colonization of available land for the construction of massive apartment blocks and dream cottages is the last nail in the coffin.
सबसे बड़ा जो खतरा है वह उन बिल्डर्स से है, उन बड़े बड़े जो धन्ना सेठ यहाँ आए हुए हैं, जो यहाँ घुसपैठ कर रहे हैं, अपने पैसों का इस्तेमाल करके, अपने संपर्कों का लाभ उठा करके यहाँ की ज़मीन खरीद फरोख्त के लिए तैयार कर रहे हैं। वो सबसे बड़ा खतरा इस शहर के लिए है, क्योंकि वो एक तरीके से इस शहर से सरप्लस कमाना चाहते हैं, अपने और धंधों को पनपाना चाहते हैं। तो मुझे लगता है कि वो सबसे बड़ा संकट है।
We are very actively discouraging colonizing activity in Nainital. No further maps are being passed for colonizing activity.
पहली बात ये कि इन्होंने बगैर मास्टर प्लान के अनप्लैन्ड तरीके से सारे नक्शे सैंक्शन कर दिए जिनका इनको अधिकार नहीं था। और अब अनप्लैन्ड नक्शों के सैंक्शन होने के बाद आज की तारीख में अगर इन्होंने कंस्ट्रक्शन बैन भी कर दिया है तो इलीगल एक्टिविटी जो इन्होंने करनी थी वो कर चुके हैं, जो गलती इन्होंने करनी थी वो की जा चुकी है, शहर को जो नुकसान होना था वो हो चुका है, झील को जो नुकसान होना था हो चुका है। और आज भी जो नक्शे इनके सैंक्शनड हैं वो नक्शे बायलॉज के मुताबिक नहीं बन रहे हैं, जो नक्शे सैंक्शनड हैं वो जाली हैं, इनको बताया जा चुका है कि वो जाली हैं, इसके बावजूद ये उसके लिए कुछ नहीं कर पा रहे हैं।
Perhaps the foremost reason for hill stations like Nainital and Simla being converted into vast urban slums is the frenzied race to cash in on the high profits associated with a booming tourist trade. With thousands of tourists arriving each summer and the numbers increasing each year, the demand for hotel rooms, restaurants and entertainment is almost endless. And there seems to be no limit to which hotel owners, tour operators and even the administration won't go to cater to the whims and fancies of the tourists. As a result, hundreds of hotels and guest houses have mushroomed almost overnight that offer everything from your favorite satellite channel to bedrooms with mirrored ceilings. These buildings, more often than not, are built in violation of building laws and threaten the slopes on which they are built. They are also responsible for generating large amounts of untreated sewage and garbage, far in excess of what the local municipalities can deal with.
Nainital is no longer what many of us come here for, a secluded resort away from the noisy plains. Should we expect otherwise when we ourselves demand all the urban conveniences and facilities from the hills? It seems easy to blame the authorities, and though the blame is theirs to share, I found myself wanting a fully furnished room with permanent running water, a variety of food and aerated drinks, STD booths to keep in touch with work, and a TV with a cable connection to watch my favorite soaps. Is it unnatural then to be given what we want at a price?
While the focus of our planners in the past has been on the generation of revenue through increased tourism, with scant regard for environmental protection, it is only now that a realization is beginning to set in that our once proud hill stations are dying and that urgent remedial action is called for. And the solution envisaged is to shift the focus of tourism from these saturated hill stations to virgin areas. That's why hamlets like Chair near Simla and Bhimtal near Nainital are being developed to draw tourists away from their larger and better known neighbors.
A 30-minute drive up from Nainital took us to Bhimtal. At at peace and busy in itself, which showed no signs of urbanization whatsoever. Yet, all that must soon change, with the solution to Nainital's congestion seeming to hinge on diverting large numbers of tourists to this sleepy hamlet. Bhimtal will soon become a bustling tourist centre, with its own ugly hotels, and crowds, noise, untreated sewage, and contaminated water.
It is an unending cycle. On the one hand, we want to escape the heat and bustle of the city. On the other hand, we can't do anything without the facilities we are used to. It's only when we learn to lose ourselves to whatever unspoiled nature has to offer, pass time as if we had all the time in the world, tiptoe up hills, experience the cool breeze, and see pure white clouds, that we will be able to recapture the ascents of the mountains. But unless we realize this soon, hill stations as we know them may have disappeared altogether.
From Nainital, we move to interior Madhya Pradesh to profile the Baiga tribals who have till recently clung to their ancient rituals and lifestyle. But now they are making belated attempts to join the mainstream and finding that it's not easy. Living on the Edge became the first TV crew to film them when Sunil Manoran arrived to see just how the tribals are coping with their transition and to see whether the new Panchayati Raj Act can meet their aspirations.
Sukhi Ram still lights his beedi the way his forefathers did hundreds of years ago. A matchbox is still alien to him. The Baigas, a gentle and peaceful tribe, live in near primitive conditions in the hilly and inhospitable parts of central Madhya Pradesh. Till a few years ago, they were nomadic, moving from place to place, practicing shifting cultivation. They believed that Mother Earth would always provide them with everything they needed. Settling down in one area was taboo for them, as they believed it constituted rape of Mother Earth. Hunting and gathering fruits supplemented their agricultural pursuits. But this self-sustainable lifestyle began to change after independence. The forests where they lived were declared reserved and hunting was banned. As a result, they had to settle down to a sedentary way of life. Today, the Baigas are struggling to come to grips with a world they know very little of. Their traditional lifestyle hasn't prepared them to face the tribulations of a modern existence.
They're primitive, they're primitive. They don't want the materialistic things. I mean, yes, they're beginning to, because otherwise you can't survive. But they don't want to be confined. They don't want to be structured. They don't want to be pigeonholed.
The transition isn't easy, and perhaps that's why more and more Baigas are taking to drink to escape rather than confront the challenges they face. Children, instead of going to school, collect maua, an ingredient of homemade liquor. The men folk spend their time brewing the drink and consuming it. For the women, each day is spent walking up to 20 kilometers to fetch water. But all that may be changing now. Madhya Pradesh has become the first state to implement the Panchayati Raj Act. Last year, nearly 20,000 sarpanchs were sworn in a move to decentralize power. The act enables them to initiate development work and control it. This tehsil, for example, initiated an afforestation program with a target of 5,000 hectares, as fuel wood, or rather the lack of it, was becoming a problem.
बाद में जंगल बड़ा हो जाएगा तो हमें ये फायदा है कि हम निस्तारी में अभी डिपो में जा कर के लकड़ी लेते हैं. उसके बजाय हमें यहाँ शुद्ध लकड़ी की प्राप्ति होगा.
In other areas, forest conservation and animal protection are being focused upon. Many villages have initiated the construction of stop dams to reduce the never-ending water problem. In fact, 20 crores have already been allocated for such activities, but financial control for the sarpanches is yet to become a reality.
पावर तो है, मगर पावर ला सक्सेस हो ही सब मिलजुल के सब अधिकारी कर्मचारी कर ही या जनप्रतिनिधिक सहयोग सबके एक सलाह रहित पंचायत राज बिल्कुल सक्सेस हो ही.
Besides, it isn't always easy to cut through red tape, particularly in rural areas. The villagers of Sargaon had built a well with their own resources, hoping to get it reimbursed eventually. But 8 months later, the BDO hasn't cleared their dues, despite the fact that money has already been allocated to them. In spite these setbacks, it's clear that villagers are becoming aware of their rights and seeking to enforce them. Living on the Edge was on hand to see Yogeshwar Raj, the local Zilla president, raise the question of the settlement.
वो जितने भी कुआं अपने जीवन धारा का कुआं है, उनका केसेस जो है डायरेक्ट जो है जीवन धारा के पंप से जुड़ा हुआ है.
नहीं ऐसे नहीं है नियम तो आपकी है कि अगर आपका कुआं कंप्लीट हो चुका है, ऊपर का पूरा प्लास्टर हो चुके हैं, अगर आपके सर्वे हो चुके हैं, आपके अगर ओवरसीयर जाके रिपोर्ट लगा हो बताते कि साहब हाँ हो गया है, तो पेमेंट नहीं रुकना चाहिए.
नहीं, पेमेंट किसी का रुकता नहीं है. वो एक्चुअल में क्या है, नहीं वो एक्चुअल में क्या है कि पंप लेना नहीं चाहते, तो उससे क्या है
चाहते हो, लेकिन आप तो नीचे लास्ट पेमेंट कंप्लीट करते तब तो आगे पंप लेती हो.
But perhaps the most revolutionary facet of decentralization is the mandatory 33% reservation for women. Geeta is the first Baiga tribal to become a sarpanch and has already initiated development activity.
ये सरपंच बनने के बाद का काम करा है पंचायत है?
अब रोड काम तो करा है.
In terms of actual empowerment, however, women sarpanches are still dominated by their husbands or fathers. In many villages, they become mere figureheads. These women, for example, in spite of being punches, remain silent throughout the meeting.
अभी तो इनिशियल स्टेज है, आगे चल के ठीक हो जाएगा. वुमेन्स को रिप्रेजेंटेशन देना था, वो दिया, उसके काफ़ी अच्छे रिजल्ट्स भी. महिलाओं में जागरूकता भी तो आ रही है, वो धीरे धीरे आज लेकर आती हैं, लेकिन कई बार ऐसा भी होता है कि अब वो अकेले भी आने लगी हैं.
Not surprisingly, politicians and the lower level bureaucracy are not too happy at the prospect of decentralized political and financial power.
जितने MLAs हैं, MPs हैं, वो कोई नहीं चाहता कि पंचायती राज सक्सेसफुल हो, इंक्लूडिंग द ब्यूरोक्रेसी. इन लोगों सबका यही धारणा है कि इनका जो पावर है वो रिड्यूस होगा.
जिनका ये एक प्रोफेशन बना हुआ है, एक व्यापार बना हुआ है पॉलिटिशियन लोगों का या अधिकारियों का जो अधिकार मारा जा रहा है, वो तो चाहेंगे ही कि ये आपका पंचायती राज ध्वस्त हो.
Even as politicians struggle to come to grips with the new power equations, NGOs are busy initiating employment boosting schemes. The traditional skills of the Baigas are being harnessed to help them cope with a market economy. Plans are underway to help the tribals sell their handicrafts and boost their income. And yet opportunities for tribals under Panchayati Raj need to be translated into more immediate benefits as they feel that development continues to elude them.
जिसमें जैसे कि मान लीजिए कुछ जिले के अंदर का कोई डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है, क्या डेवलपमेंट करना है, वो ना अभी स्थिति ये है कि ऊपर से गवर्नमेंट रिपोर्ट बना कर भेज देता है कि इतने ज़िले को इतना पैसा अलॉट हुआ है और क्या क्या करना है वो खुद डिसाइड करके भेज देते हैं. और ये तो ऑपोजिट होना चाहिए, नीचे सेशन जाना चाहिए कि हमको इतना पैसा भेजिए आप.
It's only when we remember the unhappy transition to an alien lifestyle of tribes around the country that we will be able to make Panchayati Raj a success in the truest sense. Isolated communities like the Baigas need to step out from the old to the new with confidence. And that can only happen if traditions that have nurtured them are seen as stabilizing influences rather than barriers to progress. After all, loss of identity and faith in one's destiny might just be too traumatic a price to pay for modernity.
Before we go on to our next item, I'd like to read a letter from Chitranshi Srivastava of Allahabad. Thank you very much for your inspiring and informative program Living on the Edge, which develops an ecological sense in many viewers. I've just completed my post-graduation in botany from Allahabad University with 70% marks. But before seeing your program, I was only a bookworm. Your program inspired me to do something about nature. I've started a project for developing ecological awareness among people who have no knowledge about this. I've started the project alone. I don't know whether my efforts will be successful or not. Chitranshi, I'm sure you'll be successful, and following your example, people in your neighborhood might just be inspired to spread ecological awareness. On to our next item. It's about an animal most of you don't take kindly to. It's considered sly and deceitful, steals compulsively from your kitchen, and has defied all human attempts to tame it. And yet, if you enter into its world with Shonar Joshi, you'll find that cats, like any of God's creatures, are not so difficult to understand.
Independent, intelligent, sensual and clean, a cat is one of the few animals that man has never been able to tame and train. Perhaps that is why many people find the aloofness of cats disconcerting and prefer more docile and obviously affectionate pets. Man's relationship with this enigmatic animal has been through many ups and downs. 3,000 years ago, cats were revered by Egyptians. Then they came to be tortured and killed, as superstition had that they were a manifestation of the devil during the Middle Ages. Since then, man and cat have come to enjoy an ambivalent relationship. Many of us keep them as pets, but even today, few of us cross the path of a black cat unless someone else has crossed first. And even those who keep cats are unaware of the qualities that make the animal unique. They are self-sufficient and love their freedom. Even within the most docile cat lurks a bit of the wild. Don't be surprised if a cat you nurtured, fed and fussed over, one that seemed to delight in your company and showed you tons of affection, suddenly disappears. You may find yourself heartbroken, but remember that that's just the way cats are. But if you are a cat lover, you will be prepared to put up with that.
They say a cat is a bad omen. I don't think they are a bad omen at all. If that was, I would be dead by now. At one time I had 24. Now I have about 18.
This action is often viewed as an indication of the fastidious cleanliness of a cat. But it's actually done to dampen the odor. Burying is the act of a subordinate cat, uncertain of its social standing. Unlike in the wild, in urban areas, feline territory often overlaps. Cats usually advertise territory by spraying a pungent scent. Also, fights over territory occur frequently and can be quite deadly as sharp claws and teeth are involved. A cat gets its suppleness from its shoulder joints. Cats are extremely agile and are excellent climbers, but occasionally they can fall as well. When this happens, a special righting reflex comes into play, which helps it to regain its balance. This resilience has led to the belief that a cat has 9 lives, but some owners feel differently.
That myth, according to people, is that they have 9 lives. No, they are as vulnerable to accidents as any other dogs or anything. So we should not say, oh, cat has 9 lives, so she can survive.
Grooming is much more than cleaning. While licking its fur, the cat is protecting itself not only from dirt and disease, but also from exposure to extreme temperatures, vitamin deficiency, foreign odors, and social tension. No wonder then that they spend most of their waking day grooming themselves. The next time you are about to feed your cat, take a look at its eyes. You will notice hungry cats have dilated pupils. Alert cats have fully opened eyes. Relaxed cats have half-closed eyes. And aggressive cats give a prolonged stare. Sometimes a cat responds to kind words by rolling on its back, stretching its claws, and gently twitching its tail. This is simply a way of judging your mood. A more active cat is likely to rush over to you, rub its head, face, and then its entire body on your leg, and may even And finally, Remember, there's a love-hate relationship between man and cat. They won't bend to your will, and you'll never really be able to control them. All you can do is try and learn what makes them tick and communicate with them the best you can. Even then, there will always be a mysterious side to cats that will surprise you when you least expect it, leaving you with a lurking feeling that you never really knew your cat at all.
Trees provide cool belts in hot climates. Strips of 50 to 500 meters wide can reduce temperatures by 3 degrees Celsius.